Okay, I'm back in the Glitter Central, and I've just lifted up my tablecloth to reveal we have like a table cover that rests on our table to protect it from all the evils of people eating hot foods on your table. And this is the glitter debris. So even when children do not use the glitter and only an adult does, there's always carnage. This is just one session. I haven't sat down again. Hello, it's day 10, I believe, and you're back at Glitter Central. I'm sitting at the table again where all the glittering shenanigans happened. I'm trying to get you straight here. Where all the glittering shenanigans happened 2 or 3 days ago. But tonight, we're going to check in on this Arne and Carlos Knitalong thing. I have caught up. I didn't catch up. I was very afraid that this was going to become another unfinished object. But I powered through yesterday, all afternoon, after I got back from Scan Fair and Crafty Wonderland, and got myself up to, hey, it looks better on the camera than it does in real life, actually. Got myself up to here. So I am up in the leg, and this is today's instructions, so I've finished for the day. I picked out a dark green, a lime green that I'm just sprinkling in that isn't part of their instructions. I picked out an orange, which almost looks like an antique that is faded red, is what I feel like it's done. Boy, it looks really good on camera. I hope it looks this good when you guys see it, because my color work has not been very satisfying for me. I do like the hearts. They turned out really good. There's those. And then this is the leg, but I interrupted the leg pattern with my lime green. So this is it, but I wanted to show you my floats. Now I haven't caught all of them. There are a few that I haven't caught, but I am not twisting in the way that most people who do color work do it for this project. Now I'm not saying that that's not the norm for me, but Arne and Carlos say lots of twisting when you have floats more than 2 or 3. Other colorwork people say the same, is to twist your yarn. There's also some sort of wrap around the needle technique that I've never learned. But when I was on the Arne and Carlos cruise the first time up in the fjords, they brought on Annemore, I'm trying to remember her last name, Annemore, and I'll go get her book and show you. They brought her on, and we had a chance to sit the next day in the lounge and talk about knitting and stuff. And she showed me a technique that she saw in all the sweaters that she researched for all those years at her mill that was life-changing. And I think I said that at the time. I go, oh my gosh, that's life-changing. And funnily enough, I thought it was so life-changing. Then I came home and did a few colorwork things that I didn't incorporate the technique. So I vowed that on this stocking I was going to do that, and I really like it. It takes much less thought. Now, the one issue is that if you get to going too fast and you kind of get out of the mindset of catching your floats on the row you're on, you catch them on the row above. And so say you get an alternating 1-in-1 colorwork pattern, you can forget that you've got to look at the row below and catch those floats as you go. So I'm going to show you how to do that using my little worsted, or actually it's almost chunky weight. It's Let Lopey. I just found it in my stash. And I'm going to show you how I catch my floats. So I have just done my first row. Actually, I'm going to show you a couple of things, because I'm going to show you another reason why I'm unhappy with my color work. So I did just every other one, 2 rows in a row, and then I took a break, and now I've done a gap of 5 stitches and then 1 white, 5 stitches and 1 white. Now normally you would want to twist your stitches as you go, or you would never design something that has a float of that distance anyway. Honestly, I say this quite a bit, that's poor design, that you shouldn't have floats that are that long. A really good colorwork design would not have that much. But, we want pictures, and we want to put the pictures in our patterns that we want, and we don't want to think about the floats. So we created this twist technique to help solve that problem. I've now tangled up my fingering weight and my worsted weight between my 2 projects, so I'm untangling it here. And I'm going to turn my work over and show you how I catch these floats. Are you seeing this? Fingering weight, worsted weight, because that is the law of electrical cables and yarn, that if two balls of yarn are in proximity with each other, they will become tangled. No matter what you do, they will. So I'm fighting that battle right now. There we go. We're untangled. All right, I'm going to turn you around, and we're going to look at this technique. Okay, Annemore's method is to not worry about your floats on the row you're on, but capture them on the one above. And so the way she taught me and the way I've revisited this is to look in the back and look for the long floats. So in this case, my long floats are going to be this gray. There's a long float there that went across 5 stitches, another one there. So it's always going to be the gray on this row of the back. So my next round here, I have now expanded this to 5 whites. I'm going to start decreasing it back. So my first stitch will be a gray stitch. And that's just a normal stitch. And I should be carrying this in my left hand. I wasn't. And then the next stitch will be a white stitch. And I only want to capture this with one. I figured this out from doing the stocking. If I try to capture it too tightly, it tightens it up and then it makes the row below. See right here, I tried to capture this one very tightly. The single stitch is in the bottom row, and it pulls the stitch in so tight that you can't see it anymore. Down here is a single stitch, and see how it's almost pulled so tightly that it's disappearing? I can go in and grab it with my needle and pull it back out. But that's because I captured 2 stitches in the back, and I only want to capture just one. So I'm going to go in, I did my first gray stitch, now I'm going to do a white stitch, and then on the second white stitch, I'm going to go to the back, I'm going to grab that gray float on my needle and knit through both the white and the gray and let it drop off. And that captured my gray stitch in the back. And then on my next stitch, I just knit as normal, and that really encapsulates that float. So the next stitch, oops, I should have backed off. This should be gray. So the next stitch is gray. I'm gonna throw it. And this one's gray. Do I have a float? Nope, no float to worry about there. So another gray stitch, another gray stitch. And now this row, these are 3 and 2 stitches, so these are gonna be fine. All right, now we're hitting it. Another gray stitch, a white stitch, time to capture my float. So I go to the back, I grab that gray float, pull it up, and then knit through 2 stitches with the white, let it drop off, and now it's captured. Next white stitch, next gray stitch, because we're doing 2, gray stitch, and gray stitch. Okay, I always go back and like give it a tug to loosen things up a bit. All right, next we have one more gray stitch, and then a white, and then I'm going to catch my float. So go to the back, grab that float, knit 2 together through that float, let it drop, and then it's gray stitch. I'm going to loosen up this a little bit because it's getting a little tight. Gray stitch. There, 3 stitches. Now white, grab my float with my second white stitch, knit 2 together, and then gray stitch, and one more. One more gray stitch. When I do magic loop, I pull the working needle out from the work. So there, gray stitch. There, and then white, and then go grab the float. There it is. There. I'm going to go around and show you how the back looks when you're done using this method. Gray. Now, at the same time, I'm now making a big gray float here, right? In between, well, 2 stitches. I don't have to worry about it too much, actually. There. 1, 2, 3. I think I'm at the end of the round. 1, 2, 3. 3. I think this one's a 4 because I'm at the end. Let's see what we've done here. Yep. 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I think I've mucked this up. It should have been 3 and 3. But the point is the float. Here, let's do a white one, and then in the second white one, as long as we're consistent, we'll just change the design. There, I've caught my float. Now I'm going to grab a gray one and a gray one. 4 gray ones. 2, 3, 4. But only catch that float once, and then you won't have the problem with the stitches pulling in. 1 white, go down and catch my float, knit through 2, and then gray, gray, gray. I'll probably have another white float actually. Okay, white one. Now I know there's a float at this joint, so I'm going to tighten this up, but check my floats in the back. There. Yep, there's a float there to be grabbed. So pull my working needle out. We have a second white one, so let's grab our float, knit through 2, and that dropped in the back, and then gray, gray, gray. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. All right, are we all around here? Nope, I still have some floats. Nope, still more to go. White. Moose, moose. We have a visitor this weekend, Mr. Green, and he's funny because if it's too noisy, he gets irritated, but if it's too quiet, like it is right now. Hello. Oh, and you know what? Atlas didn't like me to talk either. No. So Atlas didn't like me to record videos either. He hated it. All right, so I've done that round. See how my stitches are sticking out just fine where I just caught the one float? Even the gray ones are sticking out are okay. And that is Annemore Sunbo's method for catching floats. I didn't catch these, but I caught that row. But that's the method, is go to the row below and catch it and work your way around. I have been doing it. I'm going to pull the stocking out again. I've done it for all this stocking. Now, I do think I was catching too many. But see how it looks pretty darn good in the back? I can see the ones I forgot. Like there's a float I didn't catch. But they're pretty good. The floats are pretty well caught. And I did no twisting as I did my work. None at all. I do think I have too big of a needle for my fingering weight, so that's part of my problem. And then also maybe the contrast. But I like orange, and I didn't want to do red. Okay, this is one of Annemore Sunbo's books that I purchased at, where's her picture? But she's a little, I'll put the picture of me, I have a picture of the 3 of us, Arne and Annemore and I having a chat on the boat from a few years ago. But basically her story is that look, I have the signature even, it's very exciting. See, got a signed copy. Oh, in fact, it says on Trollfjord, 12/5/2022. The story of Annemore, and I don't know if you've seen it, and I'll put a link to the interview. Well, I watched an interview with her on like a paid thing, but then Arne and Carlos went and interviewed her on one of their YouTube videos where she talked about a little bit about the project she did. But this is the story of how she bought a mill that was a weaving mill, but the weaving mill used recycled fibers that were collected from the stuff that, like here, the equivalent of being thrown away from Goodwill. So there were these dumpsters full of sweaters. And what they did is they shredded the sweaters, they recarded it, they made yarn, and then they wove the yarn into other goods. And she, when she first bought the place, jumped in a dumpster and started cataloging the history of sweaters that were hand knit by people in Norway through hundreds of years, 50 to 100 years. And so this book is about the variety of sweaters that she found in this research project that she ended up conducting based on her new ownership of the mill. That's how she found the sweaters. And she cataloged that. She now has, I believe, 3 books that talk about different aspects of that research that she did. So, really good, really lovely lady, nice lady to meet, and really good book. And she's the person that taught me about capturing your floats in the next row that you knit. She found it in those sweaters, and that's why it was so kind of fascinating and somewhat life-changing, because she didn't just examine the sweaters face up. She turned them around and looked at the knitting techniques, the knitting designs, and all of that, which to me is like super fascinating, and I wish I had the attention span to stick to something that hard and that long and that deep. But I kind of like to capture the float from the row below technique. Tell me what you think. Give it a try. See if you like it. See if you find that it messes with your tension. It will a bit, but when I switch to the capturing only one, it stops. So that's it for tonight. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, tell me about your fingering, or tell me about your color work experiences, and do you like them or do you hate them? I have a love-hate. I like knitting lace more than I like color work at this point, but it changes based on the season. Sometimes I'll have a good run on color work and I'll switch. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you tomorrow night with something. I think it's about time I do some cooking, but our kitchen's a little hard to cook in and videotape. We don't have that great island that I had at my last place. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.